What's up, Taiwan? Good morning. I'm Liao with 10 minutes of news from here in Taiwan and around the world. A record number of women gained seats in Japan's most recent elections. Those were for the country's upper house and took place over the weekend despite the assassination of former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe just days earlier. And while the results were good for female politicians in Japan, as Louise Watt reports, the country still lags behind Taiwan.
Japan's Prime Minister marking expected winners of Sunday's elections. When the final votes were tallied, of 125 upper house seats, 35 were won by women, a record number. It's seen as reflecting gradual change in a country where men dominate the political landscape, especially as a record number of female candidates also stood.
They really shake up Japanese politics, and I think they really have paved the way for what Japanese politics might look like in the future in terms of, where women are in Japanese politics. So I'm very hopeful about that.
It's not just Japan with a political culture seen as hostile to women. Over in South Korea, many women felt misogyny was at play in the country's recent presidential elections, with the man who later won pledging to abolish the country's Ministry of Gender Equality and Family. He said it promotes policies unfair to men. But things are different in neighbour Taiwan, which leads the way in Asia. Its percentage of women in the national parliament is even higher than a lot of Western countries.
43% of Taiwan's legislators are women, and this is the presidential palace, where currently the highest elected woman in the land sits.
And unlike the dozen other female leaders in Asia in recent decades, President Tsai Ing-wen doesn't follow a father, brother, or husband into power. Observers say Taiwan's vibrant history of women's activism and gender quotas have helped get more women into office. But even Tsai has faced barriers.
A single woman without a family, she has certainly experienced a lot of gender-based discrimination, right, throughout her campaigns. For example, when she was running for her first presidential term, even the men in her own party question her ability, right? They question whether or not someone like her, a woman who wears a skirt, even though we never really see Tsai Ing-wen in a skirt, whether or not a woman could be the commander-in-chief.
And there are more women in the commander-in-chief's office. Kulas Yotaka has served as the president's spokesperson for 2 years and wants to see more women at the highest levels of government.
It's very important and it's encouraging. Now so many women would think, oh, why not? Maybe I can do something important, something big like President Tsai.
Kulas will soon step down to run for office herself as the first indigenous magistrate or highest county official of Hualien on Taiwan's east coast.
As a woman, especially an indigenous woman, there are too many stereotypes and restrictions imposed on me. Running for election, I can actually bring a new perspective to Hualien. That's what I think, and not just for Hualien, and also in Taiwan.
Taiwan is already seen as a regional role model for gender representation. But even those who broke the barriers feel more needs to be done for a fairer, more diverse political landscape. Asnaya Zhou, Piper Yo, and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus.
India is on track to become the world's most populous nation in 2023, overtaking China. Now that's according to the latest United Nations report. The global population is expected to hit 8 billion by mid-November. It also found that the world's population is growing older because of increasing life expectancy and falling fertility rates. This has resulted in the slowest rate of population growth since 1950. Our reporter Bing Wong takes an in-depth look at the global growth trend.
The world population is rapidly approaching 8 billion people. Wild, right? In just 11 years, the number of people went up by 1 billion. The global population is growing faster than ever. We only reached the first billion in 1800. Then it took 127 years to reach the second billion. The next 33 years to reach 3 billion. and we've grown by 1 billion every decade since. Experts say the rapid growth is due to better medicine and access to food. It's helped extend lifespans, lower maternal and child mortality rates. But with the growing population, the number of refugees is also rising. The UN reports that 100 million people are displaced from their homes. That's because of regional conflicts, persecution, and violations of human rights. Since the start of the Ukraine war, there are around 6 million more refugees. And here in Taiwan, the population has declined for the second year straight, falling by almost 200,000 from the year before. The Ministry of National Development projects that the country's population will shrink to between 14.5 million and 17 million by 2070. That's down from 23.5 million right now. For more on Taiwan's population, I spoke with Alice Chang, a population expert from Academia Sinica, Taiwan's top research institute.
The Taiwanese government has been giving subsidies for families with children. What else can Taiwan do to stabilize its population?
What we're seeing now is that the policies, they don't seem quite effective in terms of helping more young couples enter marriage or to help them have more children. What we're seeing is the unmarried population has been increasing. And so it's a very difficult question in terms of what we can do to stabilize the population. In the long run, the total number of women in reproductive ages, it's much smaller now. So even they're willing to have 3 children, you still cannot make up the population lost or the total babies that can be born to bigger cohort of women in the past. But if you really want to try to say something, I would say that maybe we need some kind of replacement migration. But in the East Asian context, this is quite difficult to do because across all East Asian advanced economies, it is really not an immigrant-friendly context.
Traveling with children can be tough. It's hard to keep kids entertained on long trips, but certain trains in southern Taiwan are livening up otherwise boring journeys with some special performances. Eric Liao takes a look.
Parents and children taking the train in southern Taiwan are getting a special treat. After a 2-year break because of the COVID-19 pandemic, performers are entertaining traveling families once again.
搭上这个列车，然后参与整个参与的一个互动。那今年又搭配这个交通部观光局的这个铁道年，所以呢，我们把时空列车以及这个铁道年结合在一起，也是扣合我们在推动的这个流动艺术飨宴。
The performances are a big hit with travelers.
我很喜欢这次的活动，因为它让我们有体验到猜谜，也有让我们跟那些角色互动。
车程有1个小时，可是因为有这样的一个活动，有一些推谜的一些游戏，那其实现场热络气氛很快，我就觉得好像才过20分钟，结果我们就到试营了。
Just like a real-time machine, these performances make time fly. Patrick Chen and Eric Liao for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally today, we leave you with images of Zanzibar, a 10-week-old kitten up for adoption at a rescue center in New York. Now, she's special because she's the 10,000th kitten cared for at the center's kitten nursery, and she's just plain adorable. I'm Liao. Take care, and see you next time.